You know Hobby Lobby, right? For most of us, it's the go-to spot for craft supplies. But what if I told you the real story behind the company has way less to do with selling yarn and a whole lot more to do with a $13 billion mission to reshape American culture? Yep, let's dive in.
Okay, just look at this slide. This really tells you everything you need to know. On the one hand, you've got $600 alone, that's it. And on the other, a personal net worth of $13.7 billion. The question is, how on earth do you get from one to the other? Well, that's what we're here to figure out.
So the whole Hobby Lobby universe, it all comes down to one person, David Green. Now, he wasn't some business mogul born with a silver spoon. He was the son of a preacher, came from a poor background, and just had an idea and a really, really deep sense of faith that would end up defining literally everything that came next.
All right, first things first. To really understand the influence of this company, you have to wrap your head around the sheer scale of it. We're not just talking about a successful business here. This is a full-blown retail empire that was built from pretty much nothing. Let's go all the way back to 1970. Remember that $600 loan? This is where it went. Green opened his first store. And, it wasn't some giant warehouse. It was a tiny 300 square foot space in Oklahoma City. I mean, that's smaller than a lot of studio apartments. But from that one little room, an empire was about to grow. And oh boy, did it grow. Fast forward to today, there are now more than 950 Hobby Lobby stores all across the United States. That initial tiny room has multiplied into a retail footprint that is just massive. So what does that kind of scale look like in dollars and cents? Well, how about an estimated $7.9 billion in sales every single year? At this point, you realize we're not just talking about a craft store anymore. This is a retail juggernaut, plain and simple. So what's the secret? What's the magic formula for that kind of success? According to David Green, it's got nothing to do with a strategy you'd learn in business school. Nope. The entire company is run based on his Christian faith. And this is where the story gets really, really fascinating. This quote from Green himself is pretty much the key to everything. For him, there's no wall separating church and, well, the office. His personal faith and his life as a CEO are completely intertwined. One guides the other, all day, every day. There's actually a name for this philosophy. It's called integrated faith. And the idea is exactly what it sounds like. Your beliefs aren't something you just practice in your private life. They are the actual blueprint for how you run your company, how you make decisions, and how you treat your people. And this isn't just some abstract idea. It leads to very real company rules. For instance, you've probably noticed their stores are always closed on Sundays. That's to give employees a day of rest. And get this, they pay a starting wage of $18.50 an hour, which is way above the federal minimum. And it's a principle that starts at the very top. David Green himself is still working 6 days a week as CEO. But here's the thing. When you combine this much money with this strong a mission, it doesn't just stay within the company walls. It starts to spill out. And with billions of dollars comes a huge amount of influence. And Green has used Hobby Lobby's platform to take his beliefs onto the national stage. This is where the company really became a household name for things other than crafts. In 2014, Hobby Lobby was at the center of a landmark Supreme Court case. The court ruled that some companies can be exempt from federal laws, in this case providing certain contraceptives, if those laws violate the owner's religious beliefs. And then just a few years later, the Green family made another huge public statement, putting over $500 million into opening the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. And the story continues. You might remember seeing those He Gets Us commercials during the 2023 Super Bowl. Well, that $100 million campaign to promote Christianity, David Green is one of its biggest donors. So, okay, you've built this massive, sometimes controversial, and deeply personal empire. What's the end game? What happens to all that money and all that power? Well, the answer is probably not what you think. And here is that plan. Instead of creating a family dynasty and just passing the company down to his kids, David Green is giving almost all of it away. A full 90% of the company's ownership is going to charity. Only 10% is being left for his family. For a business worth billions, that is a truly monumental decision. So why? Why do that? It all comes back to that core belief we've been talking about.
Green has said publicly that he doesn't really see himself as the owner of Hobby Lobby. He believes God is the owner. He's just the steward, the guy managing it for a higher purpose. And for him, giving it all away is the final, most important part of that job.
And all of this leaves us right here. The story of Hobby Lobby is this incredible case study of where commerce, faith, and public life all smash into each other. And it forces you to ask a pretty tough question. Where should we draw the line between a business and the personal beliefs of the person who built it? It's a question with no easy answers, that's for sure.